Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the Radio Society of Harrow. This afternoon we have Nick Pike, M1HOG, and his wife Sue here this afternoon as welcome guests. And Nick's going to be talking to us about the repeater book application. So, over to you.
So, I'm Nicolas, M1HOG, my usual website there, m1hog.com. And I'm going to talk to you today about repeater book. And we're going to start now with a little introduction here. What we're aiming to do, hopefully we will answer these questions for you. What is repeater book? How did it all come about? And then we'll have a demonstration and some hints and tips. The idea there is for people who haven't seen repeater book or aren't familiar with it, we'll get a basic run through. And for people who are familiar with it, I hope you'll learn some new things and see some new features and bits. And then we'll be covering the latest features and future plans for repeater book. Now, there's a lot of ground we could cover, so I think it's probably good if we have questions as we proceed. So, you know, we've got a lot of ground we can cover. So, if you've got any questions, just ask them at a pertinent time, or if you want to, save them for the end. But it's fine to ask them as we go along. Okay. So let's move on with the. What is repeater book? Okay, repeater book is a worldwide directory of UHF, VHF and microwave repeaters that has two basic ways of getting to all this data. That is via our website, repeaterbook.com, and via the apps which you have for Android and Apple. It's run by a worldwide community of local admins, which is the key to how the data is updated. So we have, I think, about 90. We have about 90 admins all across the world. Generally, they'll take responsibility for an area or their club's local repeaters or a repeater network, and will ensure the data is updated. We'll come on to how all that happens. It's run by Garrett, who primarily runs the website side of things. Garrett, KD6KPC, and myself. Now, the question that I'm sure you're all wondering is, how did it all come about? We have a great community of people updating repeaters, and we have the website directory and the app and all the rest of it. How did it all come about? Well, I've been interested in radio since the days of CB back in the 80s. My late father repaired televisions and stuff, so I come from a electronic family in that sense. We had CB in the early days. Then I got involved on the edges of ham radio in the mid 80s. I actually joined up with the Cheshunt Club, but that didn't really work out because back in those days the clubs tended to be the Morse code on one side and the Great Unwashed on the other. What can I say? It didn't work out very well, but I was interested. So time moved on a bit, and I got involved in another group, the Scion user group. If any of you would remember the little Scion pocket computers. I had a look on the web, and in the early 2000s I joined the Stevenage Club, did the foundation license there, and that was when my ham radio career really kind of took off. Like everybody, when I got involved in ham radio, almost the first thing I got was a little handheld, And the first problem that I had with the handheld was, of course, programming it and using the repeaters. And I very quickly found that the information that we had for repeaters in the UK at that time was gradually coming together with the RSGB, but it was still very disparate, etc. And that was when the idea came in my mind of, well, we need a list of the repeaters that I can have with me, that I can easily program into my radio. It's about that time I was getting involved in Android development, as it was then. I've had many years in software development, a veteran developer, and been involved in IT since before the world began. You just asked me about core memory, and one of the first machines that I worked on, their development machine actually said core memory in it. But anyway, there we go. So I thought, oh, we'll bring these two things together. We need a nice list of the repeaters, and I can make an app out of this. So I made the app, which at that stage was just on Android and was called Repeater Locator. Okay, well, it's called Repeater Locator on Apple, when it eventually came on Apple, sorry to be exactly right there. The fact it was called Repeater caused all sorts of confusion, because people thought it did things with Wi-Fi or whatever. But anyway, it was quite successful, and people liked this, and I thought this is a good thing. And then before I know it, I had people saying to me, oh, wouldn't it be great if it covered Europe? Wouldn't it be great if we could add these features? And so the thing started to get a life of its own. And then in no short order, I was having to put together literally a few dozen Excel spreadsheets, squashing all these Excel spreadsheets together with data from various people all over Europe to try and make a comprehensive list. We added language support and all sorts of things at that point too, but the whole thing was getting a bit out of hand. I had a few people who were keen to provide the data, but I was doing the programming and coordinating it all. And then people started asking me about America, and I started getting emails from folks in America, and I'm thinking, hang on, now we need to kind of pull this together a bit here. And it was at this point I started to make a serious effort to see what was happening in America as regards repeater directories and how that was handled. There was no American app at that point, so I had a look around, and really the only chap who'd made any progress on this problem at all was Garrett, who is a Portland, Oregon police officer, serving Portland, Oregon police officer. And he had started out in 2006 in his local area, and a lot of this parallels me really, that he was a new ham and he was interested in websites and wanted to put the data together for his local club, and it all kind of extended. He started in the Pacific Northwest, and in 2006, but it expanded, and then a Canadian contacted him and said, oh, what about Canada? And then he was starting to thinking, well, we need a database and we need a way of managing the additions and the edits to the database. So he was interested in websites. He started writing a whole system to do that. And by the time I saw his project in about 2011, it was really the leading source of data in America. I contacted him and basically said, you know, can we collaborate on this? I've got expertise building the app, and can we pool our resources? So we had a bit of a chat and got on very well indeed, famously in fact, and then said, okay, let's put all this together. So of course the first thing we need when you have any project like this was two things you need really. You need a name and you need a logo. the two critical things. Garrett already had a good name, which was Repeater Book, and I worked on a logo. The logo, we should really have it up on the screen. I'll just go back just one slide there. I'll just go back to there to remind you of the logo there. The logo came together as the idea obviously there of radio going in and out again being boosted on a repeater. So you see that kind of idea. The colours are from our respective flags, as from the beginning of the project, and when we started together in 2011, it's been a collaboration between America, obviously with Garrett, and UK. So the logo reflects that, the red and the blue of our respective flags. So we pulled our resources, and I changed the name of the app to Repeater Book. We got the logos sorted out, etc., and then things really started to move. Now, we've been working on this project, say, since 2011, and we'd done Zoom calls and chatted and developed this whole thing, and it has really, in that time, really took on a life of its own. But we'd never actually met, so it was through the fraternity of ham radio that the whole project moved along and opened up all sorts of doors. So here we go. So that's again, say, Garrett and myself there. So if we go on to the next slide, until in 2024, we actually met for the first time when we took a booth at the Hamcation in Orlando, Florida. Now this picture is actually from 25, but we first met in 24. We were right next to the ARRL and the RSGB, etc. At this point, in 24, this is a completely volunteer effort. We got there really under our own steam. Repeater Book, the website, has had some sponsorship, which we'll come on to and mention a bit more of that. But certainly at that point, it was very much under our own steam. We were very much there to, as I say, add to the chaos of ham radio, tell people about the Repeater Book app, learn a lot, get a lot of questions, and some scratching heads. It's very interesting to see how in America the repeaters are used. There's a lot more activity than there is in the UK on repeaters. The size of the ham population, if you will, in America is generally reckoned to be about 10 times what it is in the UK. There's a lot of very large networks of repeaters there. I met one chap who manages a network of 80 repeaters. quite amazing.
Is that 80?
Yes.
Where is that?
Yes. Oh, I can't remember exactly where. There was a number of them, but it's a network of 80 repeaters he manages. But the key thing to understand about the American repeaters is that unlike the repeaters we have in the UK, they are, well, to say not coordinated is a bit harsh, but it's not coordinated and controlled in the same way as we have in the UK, where now we fortunately have the RSGB who manages the repeaters we have in the UK from the point of view of the frequencies that they use and call signs and all the rest of it. So broadly ensures that things aren't too chaotic. But in America, there are a lot of repeaters which are not used or are effectively private repeaters. that people guard their little corner, so this is just for my friends, etc., and they don't publicise the frequencies or the tones that the repeater uses, which is an anathema to how we do things in the UK. But that was another reason why a central directory of repeaters was so important. So, well, we got to meet up, which was fantastic. We went there with my dear wife in 24, and again in 25. This picture is from 25, and at the show we had two announcements to make. The first one was our partnership with the ARRL. The ARRL for many years have produced a printed repeater directory book for America. Again, that sounds a bit strange if you think of that in England, but in America, folks who had very limited access to the internet, back in the day, this was had limited access to the internet, or who had not who didn't have any mobile devices or whatever, wanted printed directories, and for the prepper community, which is very big in America too, they wanted to have something which was completely offline, etc., and something they could annotate themselves, etc. So the book was very popular, but in recent times the data that's been supplied to it hasn't been very good. So ARRL, tail end last year, wanted to team up with us to use our data to ensure they had a much better printed directory. So the first thing we launched was the printed directory, ARRL printed directory 2025. If we go on to, I think we've got, I can't remember what the next shot on there is. The printed directory, say, launched in March. Just launched. You can see just there the poster, how they've used the red, white, and blue on that, and the ARRL were very keen to work with us, and hopefully we can continue to bring together a great set of data, particularly for America, and get repeaters more reliably used, in America and worldwide. So that was our booth there. I did have a little bit of a look around the rest of the show, but the time was rather limited because as we're on the booth, everyone's asking questions and, what about this? So I didn't get much time to look around. There are a few other interesting things I saw there. On the left, that's the new Kenwood APRS dual band radio. In the middle, we've got the Comjot radio, which is a interesting beast. It's an Android phone which incorporates a 2.7T radio module. So an Android app drives the radio module. So you've got an Android 2.7T radio. So that was interesting to look at. And on the right hand side there, you got, looks like ran a bit of circuit board. Probably should have showed some more of the aerial there. That's a little another interesting little radio for just for 2 meters, which is designed to be controlled from Android or from a PC. So it's literally a radio module that you plug in a USB cable to, connect it to your Android phone or your PC, and then you can access your local repeaters, etc. So there's a couple of the other things I saw. We after the show, my long-suffering wife and I had a little bit of a tour around Florida. If I can get, yay! Oh, sorry. Which was fantastic. One of the reasons I mention this is the Repeater Book project has opened up so many things. I've met and we're working with Garrett as a Portland, Oregon police officer, who, in a normal scheme of things, I would never have met or would never have had as a great pal. That opened up so many doors. We had a fantastic, both in 24 and 25, had a fantastic tour around Florida after the show, and had some great evenings out with other hams and other vendors at the show, which was fantastic. All things that were entirely down to my interest in ham radio and our shared project. So that was fantastic. We went across to Fort Pierce and drunk beer and went to various museums, including the various space museums in Florida, all of which are within easy reach. Across on the Atlantic coast, we admire the pelicans, as we're quite fans of the pelicans. They're very good, so gave us a good chance to have a little wander around. There's a few more snapshots. Got the American Muscle Car Museum and some of the walks and food and stuff. So it was great to be able to combine a bit of ham radio with a tour around as well. Okay, well, you think we better get back to Repeater Book, having give you a bit of a picture of how we got here, hopefully. A few things to go through here. I've mentioned the website already. I'll just give you a bit of an outline of what the website's all about. I'm not going to cover it in huge detail, but just give you a bit of an outline of what the website is about. The website is there as a point for anyone who wants to view all the repeaters in the directory around the world. So you just go on your web browser and you can do all sorts of search and selection of repeaters all around the world. Or you can also get displayed the repeaters local to where you happen to be. So from the point of view of seeing the world's repeaters, it's a good way to browse the world's repeaters. You can see maps, etc. There are various features to enable you to search and sort and all that. So have a look at that. That's repeaterbook.com. The other features it has is for the administration. I keep coming back to the admins, our 90 odd admins who ensure that the repeaters in Repeater Book are kept up to date. The website is where all that happens. You can add and edit repeaters from the app, but all it's doing is just loading up a page on the website. So it's that website that's key for the admins to be able to update the repeaters that they're responsible for, and for any other ham to put in a report as well to say, oh, they can't get to this repeater anymore, or their club has updated the tone or the frequency of the repeater. So those are a couple of things. The other thing you do from the website is you can do exports of the data. Now, what I mean by that is you can say, okay, I want to program my Kenwood radio, whatever, using either Kenwood software or Yaesu software or RT Systems software, but using some programming software. The key thing you need is the right data. So you want to know the repeaters that are in whichever areas of interest so you can program your radio. From the website, you can select repeaters and then say, I want to export this data in a format suitable for Chirp or suitable for RT Systems programming software or the Kenwood or Yaesu programming software. So it provides that interface to enable you to program your radios. Furthermore, a number of the applications like RT Systems, which is the another programming application, have an interface to Repeaterbook, to the directory. So from the programming software itself, you can say, I want all the repeaters at this location from this distance, etc. So that's the other key features it provides. So the website, good view of all the repeaters of the world, a way to update the repeaters, and a way to get that repeater data in a form that you can use with your programming software. So that's the broad ideas of what the website is all about. We're working on some new features for that, but I'll cover those in a bit. Okay, so that's the website. As I said, what I focus on is the app. So there are a few things to understand about the app. The app's currently available for Android and Apple. Has been for quite a while. We are looking at a web version, but it's currently Apple and Android. There's unlikely to be a desktop version. A few people have asked about Linux version and stuff, but for all sorts of reasons they're unlikely to happen. The app is only available on the Google App Store and on the Apple Store. I'm afraid it's not available on Amazon or F-Droid and all the other stores, because, and this is the primary reason, because it's just a matter of the work required to keep it all up to date. That's first things about the app. The other thing I understand about the app is that the app works completely offline, so it doesn't require an internet connection. Now that has caused some confusion. So, well, how's it work? How's it searched? We can cover details of that, but it doesn't require any internet connection. That's particularly important in America and in some remote parts of the UK too, where you simply don't have a reliable internet connection. It also ensures that the app is fast too. That's always been a important thing. You're not reliant on other connections. Right, okay, so that's a few of the features there. The other thing about the app on the Android version is that you can use it to control a relatively small number. You use it to control a small number of radios, notably the ICOM, some of the Kenwood and Yaesu radios, directly from the app. So what I mean by that is that by using a Bluetooth interface, the Blue Cat is the one we've been selling for a little while. By using that Bluetooth interface, you can set the VFO on those radios. So that's a current feature. We're going to cover some more of that in a bit. But that means that you don't have to worry about setting up the repeater offsets and the tone or whatever. You can literally just hold the phone there. If it's connected up via Bluetooth interface to your 857 or some of the ICOM radios, etc., you can just tap on the app and it will set your radio. Okay, so what we're going to do now is a little demonstration of the app. Now we have a web version of the app which is experimental at the moment, but I'm going to use that to show you a few features of the app, things that people might not be aware of, and please feel free to ask any questions on that at all. Right, I shall now attempt to dive out of this and just get back to a standard web browser. So we shall see what happens here. Okay, right, so if we just go back here now. Now the other things, to remind folks, auto-location. Now that indicates there that currently we are using the device's best guess for where we are. I think we can probably leave it at that. So auto-location, and it's a search set of locations. So at the moment, we've only got the auto-location available to us. However, if we shall we do filtering first? Well, let's cut to filtering first. Okay, a couple of things about this. On the filter screen, you can set the repeaters that you wish to see. So we are looking 100 miles out, we are sorting by distance, you've got band on there, if I can actually get it to scroll, you've got band. Now this in America causes endless confusion. I've got to find some better way of doing it. This is the emergency networks. If you tick any of these, it will only show you repeaters that carry those networks. So if I was to click races, for example, and I go back, then we'll find a very bare list. No records found in backed. Just something to be aware of. It's really for America and Canada. We've also got here display simplex nodes. Folks asked about simplex nodes. That is by that I mean what do you say another way? A gateway to the internet. So it would have RF on one side, and then typically it would go on to Echo Link or All Star or something on the other. So they're referred to as nodes, and they're simplex because they're only using one frequency. Some people want them included, some didn't. So we have a tick box whether you want to include those or not. So that's the filters. Various other modes here, etc., which you're probably familiar with all. If we go back here, and then we can have a look at search. Some interesting things here about search. The search is completely offline. No internet connection is required. But it includes a big database of towns. Typically it's towns all over the world, this is. Towns which have roughly greater than 5,000 population. So it means that we can search here, we search for Portland, and we'll get Portland in the UK. It will also match a repeater in Portland in America. Portland ME, whichever state that is, I can't immediately remember. Whichever it is, sorry. Or we can just say Portland, Oregon, and we can see Portland, Oregon there. The thing to remember about the search is you've got all these different types of search that are all returning this single list. So by that, if we go back to our search there, you can see we can search Portland, Oregon, 90210, which is American zip code, which I think is Beverly Hills, actually, if I recall correctly.
Children's TV show, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, correct. We can also just do a wildcard search, if you will, just say that includes top or starts with top. So we get top. You'll see some of these are locations. And if we click on a location, you see you've got a little map symbol there. If we click on a location, it will magically transport us to that location. So we can do that. And then you'll see the list of all the repeaters around that location. And you'll see it's changed our location. So we've teleported to wherever that is. So There we go. If we go back to search, we can also use a star, so anything that includes hill there. Again, we can search for hill. There you go. No action. They're all just repeaters. But this is a great way of exploring a different area. If you're just interested in repeaters around another area, anywhere in the world, this works pretty much. Certainly anywhere that we've got repeaters. So we've search there. The other one, if you want to search by a lat long, type in the lat long with a space, and then if we just press enter, there again changes our location, and we can see all the repeaters around there.
Excuse me, Nick.
Yes.
I've noticed 2 or 3 times that it's keeping another repeater in the right-hand column. What's that reference to?
So.
2v3BP up on the right.
Oh yeah, that's just it's the last selected repeater.
Oh, I see.
So.
That's the last one you looked at.
Yes, so if we go there, it'll update it. No, that's fair enough. The view you're getting here is the view you would have on a tablet. So if you have a wide screen, or if you use your phone and just put it to landscape, so it horizontally, then you'll get the view like this. Sorry, I probably should have made that clearer. I'd probably have to squeeze this down quite a bit to get it to go into the other view, but it will do it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Just wondered why it kept coming up. That was all.
Oh yes, yeah. And then you see the second screen there, and then if we go back. And there, if we go across, right, okay. So that's what's happening there. Yeah, or you can search on another locator, and again, type it in, and then we just press enter on there, and away we go. So there's a few things about search that folks might not be aware of that are useful. Okay, right, so I think on here, yeah, you'll notice this doesn't say auto location here anymore because we've manually set a location. If we flick back there, we're now auto location, and we'll see auto location there. Settings, it's about right. Okay, that's the key things from the app I was going to mention. How are we doing on time? Past right. Okay. We now can close that for a minute, and I can get back to this. Right, yeah. Oh, from current slide, it worked. Excellent. Yeah. Okay, latest features and future plans. ARRL repeater directory. Mentioned that already. That is the support we have from the ARRL to promote repeater book and to use the repeater book data for their printed directory. We're hoping to do more with them in the future. They've been very supportive, and really, it's been really good because it's been good for the project, because in the past we've had the usual struggles of why should this repeater council in America, why should they work with you as opposed to other people or whatever. But now we have the official stamp of approval, if you will, from the ARRL, then that's good. At some point the RSGB might talk to us, but anyway, who knows? we shall see. So my brain stopped for a second. Yeah, on the repeater on the directory front on the website, We are now working much closer with RT Systems, the people who make programming software for hundreds of radios. They support the website and have been working with us to improve the flow of data from RepeaterBook to their programming software. Likewise with Chirp, we've long supported Chirp, just the open source programming app, primarily for Chinese radios, but others as well. So from those apps, from RT Systems and from Chirp, you can get direct access to RepeaterBook data, as we've already mentioned, but worth mentioning again. Experimental web app, well, you've seen that in operation. We haven't yet decided quite how that's going to roll out. There's other things we've got to resolve with it, but that's been interesting, and would mean that you can just have it running on your browser in the shack or whatever if required. From the point of view of the app, I'm working on favourites. Now, people have been asking about that for a long time. Can I have a list of just my favourite repeaters and ideally be able to program the radio from with those favourites as well? But can I have a list of favourite repeaters so that I don't look through this vast list, all the repeaters that are around me, or just keep track of the ones that I want to follow in a given area, etc. So we're looking at favourites. Maps, the app hasn't had, well, what's to say, what's the best way of putting that? In the early days, everybody was saying of the app, yeah, it's all fine, but what we really want is a map to show where these repeaters are. Oh, we want a map, we want a map, we want a map. And what it really turns out is they don't actually want a map, what they want is better search. And for a long time, he struggled with this, but produced a much better search system. And then all the people saying about they wanted a map went away, because they can now say, oh, I want to go to this town here, have a look, see what's around there, etc. It's all fine. However, now, interestingly, we're getting a number of people now saying, oh, we want maps again. So we are working on maps. And the next thing we have, drum roll please, in terms of development, is, oh, I don't know quite what's happened to the title on that, you just have to excuse that. Oh, a bit strange. Anyway, is RepeaterBook Connect. Right. I mentioned earlier that I've been selling the BlueCat interface for a while, which is a Bluetooth interface to plug onto your ICOM or Yaesu radios to enable you to control the radio, the VFO, and the tone, etc., directly from your Android app. Now, I've been selling that interface for, oh crikey, 10 years, whatever. That's BlueCat. But now, more radios have Bluetooth built into them. More radios have USB controls, so literally you have a USB cable, plug into your computer, plug into your radio, and you control the radio. There's a number of Chinese radios now which have Bluetooth interfaces of varying quality, but which have Bluetooth interfaces. There's ICOM radios, if they don't have Bluetooth built in, ICOM sell a module that you can simply take the lid off and put a Bluetooth module in. And the Chinese are producing separate Bluetooth interfaces, much like my BlueCat. They've taken that idea for ICOM and Yaesu and just made their own versions of it for a fraction of the cost of what I can make it for. So the whole kind of landscape of connecting radios is changing. So what I'm moving to now is moving away from making my own hardware, BlueCat, to hook onto other radios, but moving on to the idea of using what's already out there. So if you have a 991A, for example, that has a USB interface, then with Repeat But Connect, you can use your USB cable, plug into 991A, and you can set the VFO on the 991A. If you have a 705 uses Bluetooth, you can do the same kind of thing on that. It really is there to enable you to use whatever interfaces your radio has, or whatever cables, programming cables you already have to control the radio. So that's what Repeat But Connect about. Set your radio directly from Repeat But app using your radio's existing USB cable, Bluetooth module or Bluetooth interface. So that's what Repeat But Connect is all about. That is currently available for Android. Here we go. So if you've got the recent version of the app, you can see we've got Repeat But Connect there. So if you go into that, you can see the outline of what Repeat But Connect does, and the current list of supported radios on the right there, which is expanding. We're going to be putting more radios on there. That's expanding. Now that's a subscription. It's an annual subscription of £12 a year plus VAT. The whole idea of this is to give me, and it is me, a sustainable model where I can continue to develop the Repeat But app. I can continue to add more radios to it. I can get the Apple support improved, because one of the first things I want to do with Repeat But Connect with the subscriptions that I hope to get from this is to get myself a new Apple machine so that I can actually update the Apple apps, and generally to support it. As the problem for software developers is that if you sell a piece of software once, that's fine, but as a developer, you're always on the treadmill of updating it, modifying, modernising. You're on the treadmill of the numerous changes that Google and Apple are always sending down the line. And it's another reason why we've kept with the model of having the data in the app. You say, well, that means that you're putting out another version of the app. You're distributing that every 3 weeks. But the thing is that we now have on the Repeat But Android app in the order of 100. It's about, I think it's about 130,000 active installs. So what that means is it's installed on a device which has been used in the last 30 days. So that's an industry metric. Typically you might have 20,000 users on it at any given time. So with that kind of scale, and with the fact it's just me, Google can put out updates across tens of thousands of devices far more smoothly than I can, and certainly far more smoothly than I can with any reasonable amount of money anyway. So the model of updating the app, it may seem a bit over the top, but it is a practical, proven, solid way of doing it. It really has worked well for us. So that's a little bit about Repeat But Connect. There'll be lots more coming along, but if you have one of the supported radios and you're interested in that, then give it a go. There'll be more features, and it directly supports the app project. Right, okay, that is it. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I hope that you've learned some new things out of that. Any particular questions?
One question.
Yes.
How many of the world's repeaters do you cover? Are there big gaps somewhere, like countries you don't have? Or?
Right, we have approximately 35,000 repeaters. Tricky to say how many there are. Tricky to say. The key thing is that of those 35,000, they are be active and they're managed. That's the key thing, because other people have said, you know, oh well, there's 60,000 repeaters worldwide. Well, that there may be, or there may not be. Who knows? Or they're paper repeaters or whatever. The key thing about repeater book data is it is provided by the community, but it isn't crowdsourced in the sense that that information is organised and created by admins who have, you know, a good responsibility for it.
But are there any particular countries that are just not covered?
Oh, sorry. In terms of countries, we've got a few repeaters in just about every country. It just relies on the hams on the ground. But you do get some very enthusiastic people coming out of it. You do. I remember in the earlier days, I got some very enthusiastic correspondence from a chap from a Catalan chap who said, "Oh, we must have it's essential that we have the app in Catalan. I'll provide all the translations. We must have it in Catalan." So, okay, so the app is set up to allow different languages, and that's not a problem. So he provided all that, and then he said, "Oh, this is brilliant. Here are all the repeaters, and he worked with us for a considerable time to ensure that all the repeaters were up to date and that it was translated into Catalan. So we do get some very enthusiastic people. Yeah. Any more questions? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the app, you've listed a 6-metre gateway in Loughton in Essex.
Yeah.
In Juliet Oscar 01 India, Quebec.
Yeah.
Being 20 miles from here.
Yeah.
But there's also one on 4 metres, one on 70 sems, which are listed the same locator, but it gives the distance as 46 miles.
Right, okay, interesting. I would only say two things on that. If you have any feedback on the repeaters in the app, you can just use the feedback in the app. That emails me directly. So that's the first thing. And the second thing I would say, all that data comes directly from the RSGB. So have a check on the RSGB website that the lat longs or locators have been set correctly on there.
Right.
But that's the first place to check, because we take the data directly from them. It's not impossible that there's some other issue.
Yeah.
It certainly could be, but those are the two things. Have a look on the RSGB website and drop me an email if there's still to confirm that there isn't an issue, or if there still is an issue.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah, great.
Perhaps it depends on who drives you there.
Sorry?
I said perhaps it depends on who drives you there. The distance.
Who's sorry?
I said perhaps it depends on who drives you there.
Oh yeah. Well,
Shouldn't that be dependent on where your phone is, and then the GPS information between here and that location, then that should give you the distance?
yes, it's using the phone's GPS, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi services. It uses all those to come up with the best guess it can of where you are. None of these things are going to be 1,000%. It's not certified for aviation navigation, you know. And unlike the people who use their Apple tablet in their aircraft with a bit of software and think, oh yeah, I know where I am. No, you don't. But anyway, there we go. So it will make a a best guess, if you will. Generally, it's pretty accurate. We're not using any other third-party location system or whatever. It's using all the official Google or Apple services. That's something that folks have said. A few people have said anyway. I don't want to have an app that uses Google services. Well, unfortunately, in practical terms, that means you can't have an Android app, as all the Android apps use Google services, and you can have whatever philosophical discussion you might like about that, but that's the reality of it. And as a developer, that's where we are. So people have to choose whether they're happy with that or not. But yeah, that's the location. Anything else? Anybody? Oh yeah, hi.
Do you provide an API?
Sorry, do I?
Do you provide an API?
Ah, it's a very good question. Do we provide an API? Lots of folks have asked about APIs, and depending on what you wanted to do, then there is a provision to get data from the Repeater Book website. However, that has been greatly abused historically and has caused Garrett all sorts of issues. As my wife's smiling there, because I've been moaning about recent problems we've been having with APIs. For example, there was recently a open source app which was one of the web receiver apps. So runs on your PC with an SDR and provides a web receiver that anyone else can get onto. And what they wanted to do is be able to show the local repeaters. So they thought it'd be a really brilliant idea if they just polled their Repeater Book API every hour for big list of repeaters. That was fine when there was one or two sites doing it. But then in recent times, you found we had, I can't remember what it was, it had got into the hundreds. They were all hitting the Repeater Book server at exactly on the hour. And it brought the whole thing it brought the database to a standstill.
That was going to be my next question. What hardware are you using and where is it? I know.
Right, from the point of view of the website, it's hosted. The website's hosted in America. I don't currently know any more than that. It's got decent level hosting. The problem is that can't survive what was basically a database distributed denial of service attack, basically. But that's down to poorly written. That was down to poorly written software, because if it failed, which of course it did most of the time, so they all hit it at the same time, then it just tries again in fighting.
Do you have your own server to
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Which then caused other problems. But to actually move on a little further from that, if you've got an idea, then talk to me about it, or can certainly talk to Garrett, as there is a potential for getting data from the website. The other thing we're going to be doing is providing an API for other apps. So if the Repeater Book app is loaded, then you'd be able, this is on Android, we're thinking about at the moment, but you'd be able to have another app, for example, a radio programming app or an open source app or whatever, which would be able to get the data from the Repeater Book app. That will be part of Repeater Book Connect, so it will be a subscription, but that will be part of Repeater Book Connect. So there's options there. Basically, if the use isn't commercial and isn't like the Chinese have done, where they've just basically basically abusing the our database servers, then yeah, we're open to ideas and other projects. Sorry?
What did the Chinese do in broad terms?
Oh, just hammering the interface. So hammering the database for whatever reason. So in terms of like a hacking attack, or running scripts, because unfortunately now we have ChatGPT. Anyone who's got ChatGPT and Python is now an expert and can decide to attempt to scrape all the data out of your website. So we've had that as well. It's tricky because on the one hand we want to make the data as available to people as possible, but on the other hand the reason why the project has been successful as it has is because it's managed, and that people can struggle with that because say, well, this is all data, all this data is for the community, it should all be open, you should give it all away. But the only reason it's got to this quality is because it's managed. Message ends.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed that very interesting talk all about repeater books. So please thank our speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you. Cheers.